Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
This is the Patrick Riggins Show, playing a little Jimmy Buffett. Tori and I are watching the...
We're laughing at the people attempting to drive.
Parking lot follies. Yeah, please, some people have had a little bit of, well, I guess, carryover from yesterday.
Yes.
And maybe getting started a little early today because there's some interesting driving going on out there.
People, if there's an orange road cone, it doesn't matter if it's like kind of in the middle of the road, don't run over it.
Don't run over it. And go up the right side of the road.
Yeah, don't go down the
side of the road.
Don't go up the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then back out of it.
And back, yeah. And Tori was about to set up a pool to see if they go over the curb or not.
So, mess up that nice Mustang.
Yeah, it would have messed up that nice little Mustang.
In other words, don't be an idiot.
In other words, yeah, stay off Kingston Pike. There's quite a bit of reveling going on, I believe.
If you are going to be an idiot, please stay home. I don't need you.
Yes, exactly. Some of us have things to do besides sit on the side of the road and wait on the police to show up for an accident report. All right, real quickly during this last segment of the show, I want to address something that's currently before the Supreme Court, and that is the Defense of Marriage Act. Now, people and organizations have been filing amicus briefs for both sides trying to convince the Supreme Court to either keep or toss the act. One in particular caught my eye from so-called family law expert Helen Avery. I think it's Avery. She argues that society's interest in the upbringing of children and marriage's unique ability to serve the interest explains the government's involvement in marriage. Tracing the consequences of the past half-century's, quote, retreat from marriage and its disparate effects on America's poor, she argues that redefining marriage to exclude sexual complementarity, that's it, complementarity, I don't even think that's a word, but she used it, would cause social harms to increase. Now, this is from a family law expert arguing that the past half-century's disparate effects on America's poor are directly due to the retreat from marriage. No, that is wrong. It is from government programs destroying the will of people to provide for themselves. She goes on in the piece, and 37 scholars of federalism and judicial restraint argue that principles of federalism and judicial restraint urge this court to exercise caution when considering the expansion of constitutional rights in areas of contentious social dispute. The laboratories of democracy, not unelected judges, should make marriage policy for the nation. Now, can someone tell me where in the Constitution or a state's constitution that the people who originally set up that government wanted it sticking its nose into the private life of an individual and with whom who they want to have sex with and who they want to live? The problem is government should not be involved at all. The government has no basis for telling people who they can marry and who they can't, period. End of story. Here's a clip from Dr. Ron Paul, whose son we just had on this last segment. Here's a clip from what he had to say on marriage, and we've played this on the show before.
I think the government should just be out of it. I think it should be done by the church or private contract, and we shouldn't have this argument. Who's married and who isn't married? I have my standards, but I shouldn't have to impose my standards on others. Others have standards, and they have no right to impose their marriage standards on me, and I just don't like it. But if we want to have something to say about marriage, it should be at the state level and not at the federal government. Just get the government out of it. It's one area where it's totally unnecessary, and they've caused more trouble than necessary.
There you go. It isn't the government's business who is married and who isn't. The whole argument that the problems of America can be laid directly at the feet of the fact that we don't have as many people married as we used to, that's a fallacy. It is really a symptom of a deeper problem that we don't want to address. The problem is government handouts, government charity. That is the problem. Government taking money from one citizen and giving it to another does no one any good other than the government. It doesn't help the person on the receiving end. It only destroys their will to work, their motivation to take care of themselves. It certainly doesn't help the person on the giving end. Their money is being taken from them. And it isn't just a problem with having Democrats in office. Even the Republicans believe in it. And here's a clip from Marco Rubio that I played on this show just recently.
Now, I believe in federal financial aid. I couldn't have gone to college without it. One of these programs is Medicare. It's especially important to me. It provided my father the care he needed to battle cancer and ultimately to die with dignity. And it pays for the care my mother receives right now.
And here is Paul Ryan from the Republican Weekly Address just yesterday.
For younger workers hoping for a secure retirement, we will protect and strengthen Medicare so that it's there for them just like it's there for my mom today.
Yes, not doing away with government-subsidized health care. No, sir. That's not only a liberal Democrat program, that's a conservative Republican one as well. Can't seem to find it in the Constitution, no, but who cares? But Patrick, you say, that's just one address. Well, here is last Tuesday when Paul Ryan introduced the House Republican budget.
We don't think it's fair to let critical programs like Medicare go bankrupt.
Yep, you heard it correctly. Medicare is a, quote, critical program, unquote. So if it is so critical to the survival of this country, how did we get along before 1965 when it was introduced? Are they trying to convince us that people were dying in the streets? We had bodies piling up before 1965. The humanity. I know quite a few people in this audience can remember this country before 1965. I don't think one person is going to be telling me about all the tragedy and hardship we encountered before 1965, before Medicare came along, how the death rate was astronomical before Medicare kicked in. Boy, aren't we lucky it's here now. Here's, well, we got time for it. Here's another clip. Mr. Ryan talks about repairing the safety net in this country.
We repair the safety net so that we can help those in need.
That's what I'm talking about. Defensive Marriage Act, Medicare, Obamacare, Social Security, safety nets, all this intrusive and wasteful government, and neither side wants to do anything about it. All of these problems could be solved tomorrow by Congress voting to take government out of it. But that isn't going to happen. Why? Because it would take money and power from the government. And no matter what these conservatives say, they don't want that any more than the liberals do. That's why I say Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, they are all the same. Instead of all that, let's call it, like I said, you're either a government-centric party or an individual-centric party. Those two labels are much more descriptive than any of those other ones. All right, we are up on the end of the show here at the Patrick Riggin Show. Yes. How much time we have, Tori? About a minute, probably. Yeah. You want to plug that station real quick before we go?
Well, thank you. Once again, anybody want to check out the internet radio station that I've started? It's shoutcast.com. Go there. You can go there mobile, desktop, iPhone, Android. Get the app and go to search and put Pirate Radio 13 in there and listen and enjoy.
Listen and enjoy. There you go. That's what we ask here. All right. We're up on the end of the show. Be sure and tune in to Tori this week. Listen to him. Yay. You have been listening to the Patrick Riggin Show here on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network. If you want more information about us, you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Patrick Riggin Show. Hit that like button. You can also go to YouTube at youtube.com/Patrick Riggin Show. And you can email us at patrickrigginshow@gmail.com or send us a card or letter to WNOX here on Kingston Pike. Join me next Sunday afternoon where once again we'll talk about freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. This is Patrick Riggins. Get out, enjoy the warm weather this week. We'll see you next Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Have a great week.
Join us again next week for a solid dose of truth on the Patrick Riggin Show. Every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. Be there.